What's up, y'all? It's JC. If you're new, welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are the NBA champs. Last night they defeated the Indiana Pacers in Game 7. But one of the biggest stories, Tyrese Halliburton went down with that torn Achilles, right? And this pretty much took the air out of the arena. You could see it on the Pacers players' faces like, why now? Right? And the Pacers, they did a good job. They kept the game close up until like the fourth quarter, where not even the fourth. I think it was the end of the third. I kind of remember now. End of the third, OKC pretty much blew the door open, and that was all she sang, right? And that was it for the Pacers. But folks are starting to notice a trend of NBA players tearing their Achilles. When you look at this postseason, I should say, um, Jason Tatum against the Knicks. You had uh, Damian Lillard against, I believe, the Pacers, right? First round Pacers. So you had these guys go down with this Achilles, with the torn Achilles, and people are starting to question what's really going on. So Cameron, if you are familiar with Cameron, extremely successful rapper. And he's now in the sports media space with It Is What It Is with Mace and Stat Baby, right? He took it to Instagram, and this is what he had to say. I know I'm the last person to say stop being fashionable, but stop wearing these low cuts and 3/4. Please. Prayer hands emoji and thank you. So there you have it. Looks like Cameron is kind of blaming the torn Achilles on the low cut shoes, the 3/4 shoes, right? And that's a trend nowadays, right? It kind of started with Nike, and when Kobe Bryant signed with Nike, um, the low cut, when they gave him his low cut, one of his low cut, I forgot which signature shoe was his like first low cut signature, but that pretty much became the mold of basketball shoes in general, like all companies, the low cut, lightweight, right? That's the, and still is the model today, right? Y- like shoes literally model after Kobe sixes, Kobe fives, whatever the case may be. And that's what Cameron is pointing to. The ankle support. The ankle support, he doesn't think it's there. He doesn't think it's there when you wear those Kobe's with these low cut shoes. You don't have that full support around your entire foot, right? But I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree with Cameron, right? I saw a video on Twitter. Somebody put together a montage of guys tearing their Achilles or rupturing their Achilles, the past five years, right? Um, and one of them, a couple of, actually, I give two examples. Wesley Matthews, he was wearing the high top Kobe's, the ones that after Kobe tore his Achilles, that he, the one, I forget the number. I should know the number, right? But it's the boxing joints that look like boxing shoes, right? He was wearing those when he tore his Achilles. Rudy Gay, he was wearing some look like, I wouldn't call them high top. I think they were like mid tops, but his ankle was pretty much covered, right? He was wearing those when he tore his Achilles. Brandon Jennings, he was wearing some Under Armours that covered a good portion of his ankle. They were like mid tops too. Like, I don't think it's the shoes. I think it's the injury. I'm not even gonna point to it, but I know for sure that calf strains will be taken way more seriously. And you would thought it would have been taken more seriously. Actually, let me rephrase that, because I did some thinking. Halliburton going out there on a calf strain. He bounced back in game 6. Game 7, he was, what, 3 or 4 early, right? He hit 3 straight threes, and going out there on a strained calf, like people are saying, like, why do that, right? But isn't this sort of why you play the game? I understand your best ability is availability, but we're talking game 7 of the NBA final. I think this situation is a little different from, some of the other guys. We're talking game 7 of the NBA finals. This is why you play the game, to win the ultimate prize, which is the, Larry O'Brien trophy. So I'm not knocking Halliburton. I'm not knocking the medical staff, especially after what the performance he gave in game 6, right? It's like, can you really put point a finger at them? Um now risk comes with, injuries. That's the risk you take when it comes to playing the sport. I don't think guys sign up to play basketball or want to go to the NBA thinking that they will never get injured ever. Because you get injured, you get injured at a young age. You get injured at a young age. Pee-wee, middle school, high school, college, people get injured. That's the risk, right? But I do understand on the flip side, the best interest, you want to have the best interest for the player's health, and even though they may want to play, but we talking about game 7 of the NBA. Fine, like, let's be real for a second. Let's take a step back and look at that, right? Um, so I understand why he wanted to play and why he got the green light. He got the green light, and unfortunately, that's what happened. He that calf strain, you overcompensate, or and right away when you see that ruptured Achilles. It's an injury, they show the replay, exactly what it is. So unfortunately, Holly had to deal with that. But I think overall, more I think we're gonna see a little bit more science. Or I'm no doctor, I'm no uh you know I don't know the human anatomy to a T, but I'm assuming these um medical staff members are going to put way more research into, the Achilles strains, and not the strains, but the calf strains, and being more cautious with easing guys back in, as we move forward in the game. But I don't think it's the shoes like Cameron mentioned. I think if somebody's going to tear their Achilles, they're going to either do it. They can do it in flip flops, or they can do it in some Nike boots. I think it's going to happen regardless. If that's, you know the trajectory of whatever that person is going through, whatever the movement they may have done. So I don't think it's the shoes. So I got to disagree with Cameron on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Those are mine.